And
And the people watching the VODs.
yeah,
So, what's up?
yeah, welcome. And we are going to head on to our second series. Now, this is possibly one of the more, I guess, anticipated series because iRk. Well, okay, I'm going to spoil it. I'll wait until. Let's move on to the overlay and let's have a look at who's going to be playing, and then I'll spoil it. Okay. So, as you can see, it's going to be iRk versus Clan Revolution. Now, they were in the same group in round one. They did face off against each other. ReV did lose to iRk, but afterwards they did play each other in the iRk Red Revolution, the Age Warrior and Incomplete setup, which I casted, which was a lot of fun. But iRk did an incredible job in round one. They came second overall with 6 wins, 3 losses in matches, so they played 9 matches overall. And all of their players did a really, really good job, but they did, unfortunately, lose their first week of round 2.
Yeah, I did not expect that. I also didn't expect them coming in second last season. That was pretty surprising for me. For considering that there's two non-Korean or 2 Korean clans in here, I was really surprised. iRk did super well, but yeah, not starting off on a great foot. But it's okay because their opponents also didn't win their first round map, so I guess that's kind of gonna even it up, right?
Yeah, ReV didn't make it to the playoffs. iRk did beat Soul and White to make it to the playoffs, but ReV, a fairly good team. They did very well. They just had some very, very strong opponents in Group B last time, and they're going to be looking to, in Group A this time, to see if they can put a dent on the tournament, see if they can make it to the playoffs. This is, of course, week 2 of 7. And we are going to move on to just explain what maps we're going to see in terms of who is going to be playing on them. So let me move on over to that screen. That's the wrong screen. It's going to be set 1 is Return of the King, set 2 Flight Dreamliner, set 3 Troy, set 4 Triathlon, and set 5 New Sniper Ridge. And we are going to see a ZBT between Jerry and Kettle, a PvP between Oyaji and Narsil, a ZBP between Norgrim and Caspus, who is the incredibly generous guy who is constantly donating to every tournament under the sun, and a PvZ between DeWalt and Scab. Now, just looking at the rosters, you would say that iRk has a little bit of an edge here.
Yeah, by far. I mean, Nogrim and DeWalt. Nogrim's like pretty good, but DeWalt is like super, super good. So, I mean, anytime I see him in any tournament, I'm always just like, wow, this guy could definitely win that any non-Korean tournament. And even in tournaments that do have Koreans, like Have At You, I think he was second place, third place, something like that. So yeah, super, super good. So I mean, he's one of the reasons definitely that iRk has done super well. Don't sleep on Oyaji either. I think we saw him do really well before. I don't know. I haven't kept up super well with his performances, but yeah, for Revolution, I don't know what to expect. I also don't know why DeWalt and Scav are playing so late because I think they're some of the best players on their respective teams. So ideally, if it's a best of 5, then you kind of want your good players playing early to ensure that you get to the later rounds. But I mean, it's not my decision.
Yeah, it's a weird tactical decision you can make. Now, one thing we actually saw, I believe it was Naz, they put, I can't remember who exactly it was, a team last season, last round even, put their best player at 4, and they lost the first 3 games, unfortunately, so they were out of the running for the ace match. But let's introduce our players here. I know it's on the screen, but let's have a look at their stats from round 1, and if Kettle, we'll find out, doesn't have any. But let's move on over, and let's get ready to start the game. Okay, so as we look at the players here, that hasn't updated, so I need to generate that. Go back again, there we go. Fighting for iRk, we do have Jerry. He did go 2 for 1 in round 1. He played some incredibly good games. He did lose. The only game he lost was actually a ZBT, so this is going to be his chance, a little bit of redemption. I believe he actually won a ZBT and a ZVP last time, so pretty well rounded. He'll see how he does here. And Kettle, his opponent, is a Terran player. He's new to ReV. They did have a lineup entirely consisting of Protoss and Zerg last round, so cool to see a Terran in, and it'll be cool to see how he does as we move on to our map here, which is going to be Return of the King. Now, Return of the King, a very fun map from the 2008 Incrit OSL, famously used in the Fantasy vs Stork finals that did get me into the game. Now, Fantasy did lose those finals, spoilers. Anyone living in 2008, I do apologize.
Dude, it's been 10 years, man. You don't have to give a spoiler alert since your favorite player lost.
But what about the people watching from 2008? Those time travelers, man. Like, I've just ruined it for them.
I heard this. Go ahead and start the game, and then I can talk about this during the early game.
Okay, let's move on to the game, and let's introduce our players and positions, and let's get going. Okay, so starting us off this time, in the top right-hand position, we do have the blue Zerg. It's going to be Jerry.
Yep, and his opponent on the bottom right-hand corner in the green is the Terran player for ReV, Kettle.
It is indeed. Now, if you want to talk about that thing you were going to talk about, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, you mentioned players from 2008 not being spoiled, so giving them the retroactive spoiler alert. Some dumb Twitter account tweeted that if you ever want to know how driven you are, try to make a time machine, and if you don't come back from the future, then you know that you weren't trying hard enough. I'm like, oh, I never really thought about it that way. But
yeah, but the trouble is,
I'm sure that
you can't meet yourself because you'll create a grandfather paradox. So
no, okay, so that is also not true, because when you do meet yourself, it depends on the kind of interaction that you have, and if you're prepared to meet yourself. Like if it's just like purely accidental and you act like super crazily like everybody does in all the movies, then okay, well you're gonna screw some stuff up. But I don't know. I'm not sure that's guaranteed, Kicks.
It is one of those interesting things though, because if I think about time travel, I really say to myself, do I really want to risk going back in the past, or do I just go really far in the future and then like live this super cool future life? Because you can really mess things up going back in time.
Yeah, but like, to be honest, you can mess things up going forward in time either, and you can actually just mess things up living your daily life. So Kicks, I don't really know what's too bad about that.
Could you really mess something up in the future though? Because if you go forward in time, one would assume that you're just making time on Earth speed up while you just sit there
Kicks,
or something.
as somebody that messes things up on the daily, I can assure you that at all points in time, that's definitely possible.
That is a very, very good point. I also mess a lot of things up as well, so you know what, maybe neither of us should be time travelers.
I'm going to stick to being subpar at commentary. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea if I'm being honest. Now, interestingly, Kettle is going for a wall off here. He's gone for gas as well. This could be for 2-port Wraith. It could just be for a factory. Mech very strong on this map. But the drone doing a very good job just getting in the way of this supply depot, as he does have Lings moving across the map.
Yeah, these are, not incredibly early Lings, but there are quite a few. I mean, it's the first 6, so he's not stopping anytime soon. By the way, there's 2 more on the way, and this is going to require maybe a couple of SCVs to be pulled to block. It's not like there's a bunker or anything. If he wants to start one, I guess that would be like pretty okay. But he's not going to have his build interrupted too much. The Lings are actually going to kill off the first Marine, though, so that's not good.
And this isn't a tight wall either. That's a Zealot type wall, not a Ling type wall. Here we go. The Lings getting in. The factory gonna be in danger.
Oh no! Oh no! Kicks. Work on my alphabet with me.
Oh no.
G.
Oh boy, this is so bad for Kettle. His Marines are going to be spawning on the outside of the wall, unable to get back into his own base. And this is certainly going to be GG.
You know that's going to happen too. Like, that barracks placement spawns Marines on the outside of the wall. I guess you should just swap it with the barracks. Wow, that is...
That was a quick game.
Lings coming across, and I was like, okay, well the Lings aren't all clumped up. They're going to come in 2 by 2. It's not too bad, right? But then the Marine pops out on the outside of the wall and just insta-dives to the first 2 Lings, and you're like, oh, well that's just not very good. Okay, wow, that was a 3-minute 48-second game.
Yep, that's certainly one of the quickest games we've had in the OSL. I'm ahead of myself here. The STPL, unfortunately, but you know what? It was a cool game. Kettle, unfortunately, getting a little bit caught off guard by that all-in by Jerry. And unfortunately for him in that position, with that wall, you cannot make a link type wall. I think you have to build the barracks in the bottom right and then go from there. But that's just one of the many things that can happen sometimes in the game.